Hello, good morning, and happy Friday, gamers. Welcome to this week's new episode of Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, Mr. BoomStick XL, and we have one hell of a show for you today. We're talking Hellblade 2. Did you see what the gaming media, who is biased AF, all they can do is gush about this game? Obviously, we're going to get into why it's 30 frames versus 60. I know that there are a lot of controversies regarding that. There are some people in here telling, that it should be 60 because, well, this $500 box they promised to. And to be fair, Aaron Greenberg, people have been pulling the receipts and say, well, Aaron, he said that moving forward, the standard was going to be 60. And of course, you get the comparisons. Well, why is God of War Ragnarok 60 frames? Why do they have a performance mode? Well, a couple of reasons. One, it's also running on a PlayStation 4. And two, it's running Unreal Engine 4.2, not Unreal Engine 5. And as we've heard from numerous reports from this 40-minute demo that all of these sites got a chance to play, they have set benchmarks with Unreal Engine 5 never set before. Very interesting. One other little small piece of finite conversation that no one in the PlayStation community wants to remember, gentlemen, that is the leaks that came out of Insomniac's hack, right? And what did Insomniac say in those leaks? Oh, I don't know, that they were going to use Hellblade 2 and Ninja Theory's technology as the benchmark for them moving forward. Did we forget about that? I certainly did not, but a lot of trolls did. Let's get into that. We're going to get into Gears of War 6. Some big news came out yesterday via the Xcast, and of course, thanks to Jeff Grubb of Jeff Grubb. I mean, who doesn't know who Jeff Grubb is? But he moves around a bit. He's now with Giant Bomb. That's where he is currently now. And who doesn't like Jeff? Who doesn't love Jeff Grubb and those locks? But we're also going to talk about Jez Corden's opinion piece yesterday. I read through it. It is a meaty article. There were a lot of real good truths in there. Some hefty opinions by Jez. Some things I'm going to push back on that I don't agree with, but it was a well-written article. And of course, he's that coming out of Windows Central. But let's get into the introductions here. Crispy Bomb, what's going on, my brother? We got Gears news, and well, I don't think. Do you like Gears?
Do I like Gears? Oh, that's a great question. I don't know. I sit here for what 5-6 years now, having a Gears Crimson Omen on the bomb. So I don't know. I don't like Gears. The one thing I'll say is that it's intriguing the fact that we have a UE5 built game built in UE5, and then we have the Masters.
Yes.
All of a sudden being mentioned. And Crispy might have told you so. Some of the people in the chat know that I've said if it's not this year, we're screwed. And I think it's this year. So, but we're going to get into that.
We certainly will expect June to be big for Gears. And based on Shinobi 602, what he said on Reddit, people are not ready for Gears 6. I love it. I'm excited for it. Mr. Death Dealer himself, Dreadpool, what's up, brother? How you feeling? And what did you have for breakfast, kind sir?
I actually skipped breakfast. I had a meeting this morning, so all I had was some of the Hawaiian coffee that
I've been raving
about. So now that you mention it, now I'm hungry. So, but no, just having a good time. This could be a great day today.
Yeah, it is going to be a lot of fun conversation, a lot of big Xbox news, even like with Jez Corden's article. Again, really well written, well researched. I'm a big fan of Jez and Windows Central, obviously. Again, like anything, there were some points that I definitely don't agree with, especially when it comes to getting something like Epic Game Store and potentially Steam on the next Xbox. I think that enhances your play as a gamer. It opens the door for your library to be as stout as it could possibly be when you have and support those platforms. Obviously, it's going to be different. Microsoft is changing the game once again, as they did in 2017 when they introduced Game Pass, and many years before on when they did things with the 360 that no one else was doing. And I'm here for it. I think that an open platform, and this is my only one of the few pushbacks I had with the article, because again, he did bring some really good points regarding messaging, which we've all complained about Microsoft. They just don't seem to have a cohesive messaging that one head talks and everyone and that's what they do. And that's been one of their biggest problems is the messaging. And they know it. Why they haven't fixed it? Well, I know that's a podcast for another day, but we're going to get into it. We're going to have a big conversation on all three topics, and it'd be a great way to start and start your Friday. But Fuzzy Belvedere, what's up, brother? How you feeling?
Well, I'm feeling great. Glad to be here with you guys. So much going on Twitter/X these past few days. Can't keep up with the is 30 cool or not cool? It seems to change with every game release. So
30 is cool for when it fits your narrative. And when I say yours, I don't necessarily mean you. I mean like the PlayStation Nation's narrative. 30 is fine.
Did I say 30? Make it 15.
Make it 15. Actually, make it 28. No, it's. I'm glad that you're here, Fuzzy, because obviously you obviously Dreadpool and Crispy have a decent knowledge when it comes to the tech, and I really want to break down what the 30 means. A lock 30 meaning that if this again, I'm only going based on what has been said. I didn't get to get invited to try out the 40-minute demo. I wish that would have been pretty cool, but it's fine. I don't know if this is true or not. Xbox, if you're listening, I want to review the game. Let me know. Hit me up on the and send me an email with a code so I can review this game for the channel. That would be dope. But I mean, look, let's just rip off the Band-Aid. Okay, now this particular, we're gonna open up with Hellblade, and again, we're trying to stay positive. We're trying not to conflate negativity because I don't like it. It's depressing, and it's just not where I want to be when it comes to being a content creator, right? But yesterday, and again, we have to talk about this because it's out in the ether, folks. Everyone, that is anyone, which I will read verbatim some of the comments coming out of this 40-minute demo for Hellblade 2 that have been nothing short of some of the. Again, I said this yesterday. I never thought I would see a day where an IGN who literally lives to dump on Xbox because the engagement farm, right? And negativity is engagement farming. It's clicks, it's likes, it's subs, and people that hate on the box enjoy seeing that kind of rhetoric, right? So it sells. I was very surprised to see who was saying these positive things and how they were saying these positive things. But you know what doesn't surprise me in the least is Eurogamer, because yesterday, well, they didn't write just one tenacious article. They wrote two because, well, I guess hating on Xbox is what they do over there. Now, the first one comes out and it's by, let me see, where is the person's name? His name is Ed Nightingale. Now, if you don't know Ed Nightingale's work, well, go look it up because he's a Sony guy. And there's nothing wrong with that. Have your platform of choice. Enjoy wherever you play. He's also a PC guy. And that means obviously if he's a PC guy, he's probably rocking a 4090. He probably has a $5,000 rig. Okay, wonderful. So instead of praising the what everyone is talking about, which is this benchmarked Unreal Engine 5 game, which everyone that has played it is saying it's the first and true next generation game of the current gen that's now going to be 4 years old in November. Their story reads as such. Hellblade 2 will be 30 frames per second only on Xbox consoles, and the Ninja Theory founder, Tamim Antoniades, has left the studio. Well, a couple of things. A couple of little finite points there. Tamim left the studio 2 years ago. It's been a while. Why not a report then when he left? I don't know, but I thought they thought it was important to add to the conversation. You know, again, bad news likes bad news and more bad news, correct? Hellblade 2 will be locked at 30 frames only on Xbox consoles. Okay, that's a fact. Nothing surprising there. There's reasons for it. They talked about, they did an interview with GamePro, and we'll read their reasoning verbatim. But then, of course, Christopher Dring. Well, good old Christopher never looks a gift horse in the mouth. Why not talk shit about Xbox? Because that's what they do at Eurogamer. And his article, which of course he talked about this last week, so he's almost kind of, reiterating for the point of, I don't know, because I don't know anyone who likes Christopher Dring and reads his shit, to be honest with you. He says, does a stuttering console space offer an opportunity for others? Opinion, because he had to put it out there. With Xbox pushing towards third party and PlayStation and Nintendo bracing for a follow year, the door is open for disruption in the gaming market. Did Xbox say that they're going third party? Because I kind of thought that was brought to a head. Yeah, some games went over there, and one of the games, which I still have a problem with, is Hi-Fi Rush. Did they say third party? No, they didn't. So it's just interesting to me that the rhetoric out of Eurogamer continues to happen. Why anyone follows them, why anyone would even bother. Like I said, I'm not crediting them for anything. I'm literally using it verbatim, just about the negativity. But, gentlemen, and Fuzzy, I want to go to you first. Now, everyone knows that I have an incredible distaste for IGN because I do not like the way that they use hate mongering for their own personal gain. They stoke the fire. They try to make it as big as possible, and when the building is burning, they're like, "Why are you pointing fingers at me, you Xbot wearing a tinfoil hat?" And I think that it's facetious at best. So even IGN, who I have an incredible distaste for, said this: Hellblade 2 is undeniably one of the most graphically impressive games I've ever played. GameSpot, which is another one. Again, they're like the Inquirer of video game rag mags, right? GameSpot said, I can't remember the last time a game left me so excited to play the full experience. Now, Games Radar, I like them. I like some of their writers over there, so I'm not going to throw them under the bus. They said this: it's clearly on track to be one of the most important exclusives this generation. And Polygon, which, I like some of the writers over there. I can take them or leave them at times, because even when, I guess when numbers are low, they get clickbaitery. Polygon says this: I wasn't expecting to experience a next-gen moment when I played Hellblade 2, but I got one. There's nothing else quite like it. Fuzzy, this is four of many. I have some other ones I want to pull that are out there as well. I find it very, well, it's not really even shocking at this point. I mean, negativity towards Xbox is a thing. It's a selling point. The community is the community, right? It's gaming media is gaming media, but the community that is running this narrative about how it's a fail for this game that is benchmarking Unreal Engine 5, which, and let's get some stuff clear here. There are only a handful of Unreal Engine 5 games available on current consoles. Now, the best looking one is RoboCop. But if you go into the minutia of it, and I got this confirmed from Kay Asante, because I'm not a tech guy. So I went to the source. And I said, hey, Kay, can you confirm some things for me? He says, yeah, absolutely. Yes, there is a 60 FPS performance mode for RoboCop. But has anyone seen what that looks like? Because RoboCop looks awesome. Mm-hmm. Everyone else looks like 360 graphics. The characters, the NPCs, even when you're walking through the police precinct, you're like, oh my God, this is what happened. Because they dropped Unreal Engine 5 game to 60 frames. When you look out into the distance, it looks like color washed. It looks blurry, right? Immortals of Avion, right? That's another one that's Unreal Engine 5. Fun fact, and again, shout out to Kay Asante who confirmed this for me. The 60 frames mode runs at 720p.
Mhm.
What about that? Interesting stuff. So when you see the game, and I know I'm not the only one that saw this game, that is, again, we have to keep saying it. It's a benchmarked Unreal Engine 5 game that is the first true next generation game based on actual people that played it. And we've
Yeah.
seen it for ourselves. Buzz, let's talk about it, man.
Well, we talked about it in the green room, but I'll let Dreadpool get his bars off on that part of it. But I think there is this push and pull when it comes to Xbox. Like I said it earlier, whenever there's a 30 frames game on another platform, it's no big deal. You don't see anything from any of the media really talking about it. It's more so people on social media that will say things, and then you'll have like the defense force come out in droves against whatever they have to say. But I'm pleasantly surprised that a majority of the gaming media didn't really harp on the 30 frames aspect, with the exception of a handful.
It was actually quite shocking, to be honest with you.
Well, I honestly think this is kind of like the same look at a game where if it was on another platform, they're looking at the game and their face is melting basically in the beauty of the game. Now, I would say that a Gear 6 is going to definitely be on the same level as well. It's just a matter of it's solely an Xbox game, so it may not get the love from the gaming media as much. But this being a series that started, on the other platform and became multi-platform, and now is being an exclusive, I think they realize that they can't get away with crapping on this. If by ever there is a chance that it goes multi-platform, which I'm not saying it will, they don't want the same gotcha moments where they had it for Hi-Fi Rush, where they were like, oh, because it's an Xbox game, I gave it a lower score, or the music just wasn't, hitting me right, or whatever. And then when it comes over to the platform, magically all those gripes or complaints magically disappear, but nothing really changed in the game itself. But it's good to see that a lot of places are focusing on the games. I mean, at the end of the day, that's primarily what we're here for. It's the hobby of playing games and having fun. The 30 frames aspect of it, I mean, there are options out there, although it's going to be more costly in the sense of if you do want to step up to PC, which I do encourage those. If you want these, very visually intensive games, at 60 frames, especially the ones, more recently, especially on Unreal Engine 5, with probably very few exceptions, step up to PC. That solves your problem. But outside of that, I think as long as they get the frame timing down on this, optimization on this, it can work as far as it being a smooth experience. I mean, in all honesty, I didn't really hear as many people complain about Starfield at 30, considering it was a smooth 30, frame timings and all. But, for those that want the 60, I mean, PCs are definitely an easy enough option if you should choose to step up to that. But no, it's great to see the media actually talking about a game and its merits, as opposed to nitpicking the minutia of things that may not really affect the experience of this particular style game. Like if it was a PvP, you're battling other players, hack and slash kind of game, maybe it's a different story. But then again, would you really see these types of visuals in that style of PvP, hack and slash game? Probably not. But I'm excited for this game, and any way you look at it. I will be starting it on my Series X, and if the 30 frames doesn't work for my eyes, which I doubt it'll be a problem, but I do have a PC as the option to say, oh, well, let's see if my 3080 that's overclocked can handle this at 60. Instead of pushing it 4K, which I think that's another big thing that I wish more devs would consider 4K not being the target or the goal.
Maybe like a 1440p, possibly. Yeah,
like from the PC standpoint, all the games that I play, I set them for 1441 because that's the optimal setting for my monitor. I could get a 4K monitor, but it's like, why? at that point, because a lot of games are going to wind up using a lot more of the memory when you do 4K, which you may not have to turn all the bells and whistles up at 4K, but I like turning all the bells and whistles up, whether it's the ray tracing, specular specular highlights, the particle effects, and all that other stuff. Turn everything to the 9s or high or epic or whatever, the highest setting is, and do it at 1440, and then do VSync and lock it at 60. I mean, my machine can do upwards of 90 on a lot of games, but 60 is fine. And having all the extra, bells and whistles on screen is where it's at for me. But I think if more devs looked at the 1440 as being the target, at worst, if your performance mode requires it scales up to that, as opposed to pushing it out to full 4K, which once a game gets past the 1440 mark, I mean, unless you're sitting up there pausing every moment and pixel counting or looking for jaggies here and there, you're not going to notice as much of a difference, especially if you're sitting the normal distance from your TV type of deal. But, in the grand scheme of things, that's where options exist as far as PC. But for a console base, I think this game will now show how far these devs can push the hardware or the tech that's in this box. Like,
Yep.
I've been saying for the longest time, like even Forza Motorsport, I don't think is pushing that Series X to its limit. Now over time they're going to do some more optimization,
if anyone would know, it'd be fuzzy when it comes to Forza.
But it's I would say Hellblade 2 is going to be that thing. Not that it's going to overheat the Series X by any means, but it's going to use a lot of the tools that are inherent with RDNA 2 to get this game looking like it's a movie, or making it look like something that you would say is in engine when it's actual gameplay in front of you. And I think that's probably the biggest leap this generation as far as those types of visuals, where it looks like something that you would be, have it as a pre-rendered video that you're having button prompts or something like that, but you're actually playing the game and experiencing it firsthand, and it's in real time. And I think that's the big thing that people need to look forward to. Come, was it May 21st? I think is when this thing releases.
Yes.
So
yep. Yeah.
Can't wait.
It's again, I find it interesting that there are, and what's okay. So let me clear this up. A lot of the complaining Dreadpool that I have seen are from people who actually have PCs, which is a little bit shocking to me. So if you own a PC, you have a rig that's going to play this game in 60 frames, because you can play 60. It's unlocked. Hold on a sec.
Is that like an earthquake?
What it felt like, honestly. I don't know where that was coming from.
Yeah, everything
Your whole screen was shaking.
Yeah. The building is still standing, but it did feel like a tremor, which is crazy. Well, I'm in New York, for crying out loud. We don't get earthquakes here. I don't know what happened. That was weird. But I'm okay. So we're still here. We're still live. We got 505 people in the air.
We'll have to monitor you.
Yes. I'll keep everyone advised.
I feel it as well.
Did you really?
Yes. Just really quick.
Okay, because it felt like a tremor. Like, I've been in California where that's happened. That's literally what it felt like. That is the craziest shit I've ever experienced. Okay.
There is a fault line that goes through New England, by the way.
Yes, there is. But listen, we're good. Apologies for the shocking face that I made, because I was like, man, what is happening? It's crazy. Anyway, Dread, look, a lot of the complaining, I think, is a lot to do about nothing. Yes, it's 30. There are people that are going to say, oh, this should be in 60. We're in next gen. Okay, you know what? If you feel that, I am not going to fight you on it. But we have to understand this is what the dev wanted to do. It's not because the system can't do it. This is how they're making the game. This is how they're telling their story. This is how it's going to look. Anyone that has seen this game has been blown away. Even the most negative people in the gaming industry could not say anything negative. They literally had to bend the knee. Let's talk about the 30 versus 60. You have some really interesting things to say in the green room.
Yeah. Hold on a second. Is this show at 60 frames or 30 frames? I can't really tell. But let me make an adjustment. Okay, there we go. We're at 60 frames. I just had to bring it down to 144 hertz. So we're good. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Seriously though, here's the issue, right? Do I want it all? Yes, I want everything. I want my cake. I want to eat it. I want to do whatever I want with it, right? I want that apple pie and whatever else, right? But in reality, we can't have it all. And that's the problem. Yeah, you know, we have to be vigilant about demanding what we want, but respectful about it. And this is one of those things that sometimes you just can't get it all. And interviewing devs throughout the years, you know, you only have so much room to fit in this box. Once you find, let's just use this box right here, right? Once you find whatever you're going to put in here, you know, just another item in there. Oh, wait, look, I can't fit this in the box. It won't fit in the box.
Visual props. I love it.
That's the problem is a lot of people
Right.
do not understand this. A lot of people just want to sit there and be toddlers waiting to suck on mommy's teat again when they're 40 and 50 years old, sitting there crying about stuff that they can't control. Right? That's the problem. Maybe this will help them a little bit. I don't know. But let's bring it back here, right? So if you want ray tracing, you want the high fidelity graphics, you want this, you want that, something's got to give. You can only do so much.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the problem. Right. And when it's a dev, I always say, let the dev make the game that they want to make. And if they choose certain things to leave out, whether it's fidelity, graphics, I mean, just whatever, you know what I mean? What's the other one? The accessibility for people with handicaps, you know, stuff like that. If they want to leave it out, that's on them. They will suffer the wrath. But if the game's good, it really won't matter, right? But let them make the game that they want to make. But if we control it and we keep on telling them what we want, and they have to do it this way, they'll never make the game that they want to make, right? We Happy Few is a prime example, right? They literally took the whole community's information, all the guidance that we gave them, and we ended up not getting a good game. That's the problem. So they have to let them do what they got to do, and it's a give and take. So sometime we have to stop, or at least they have to stop listening to us and do that, right? What did Apple do? They said they don't know what they want, and this is what they're going to get. You know, Microsoft has done the same thing. You don't know, you know, they're ahead of the curve when it comes to a lot of things that we don't even know what we want, right? We don't want Connect. We don't want that because who's going to be listening? Oh, wait, here's my phone, right? Oh, but we got Siri, we got
Google,
the A lady, right?
Yeah, don't say it because well, you're on speaker. You're not on speaker, so she won't go off. But if you say the A, she jumps on.
All right, I've been monitoring. There was a quake in Lebanon, New Jersey. It just triggered.
Yeah, Freddie Fox says, "Oh my God, boom! My house just shook. I'm upstate New York. Elemental PO, who's been a channel member for 24 months, says I live in Queens and I felt the tremors. My wife, who's working in the Bronx, just texted me. She thought it was a plane, and obviously it wasn't. It was an actual earthquake. Which wow,
it's a 4.8 magnitude, 5 kilometers north of Lebanon, New Jersey.
Wow. Well, there you go, folks. So. Shout out to Freddie Fox for the very generous $2 super chat. I didn't want to forget that as well. But yeah, I mean, listen, you're making too much sense, Dredd. I'm going to have to ban you from the podcast. God damn it.
Hold on. Let me recover. Nothing to see here. Nothing. Everything's fine. Everything's fine.
You know what's? Can I take a moment for like a mini rant for a second?
Yes.
I get so disappointed because I think we've so many of us, and I'm putting myself on the stand here, have lost what we do gaming for, is to have fun. Like, if you're an OG like me, could you, if someone in 1983, when you were sitting playing your Nintendo, whatever you were playing, and someone went back in time and showed you the Senua Saga, I mean the Hellblade 2 screenshot, you'd be like, yo, dude, you get out of here with that. Is that real? Like, I don't understand why there is so much hate in this community. It's honestly it's depressing. Now I'm not personally depressed. I just think that it's everyone is fighting with everyone. And can we all just get back to just enjoying games? Like, I get excited for PlayStation games the same way I get excited for Xbox games, and the same way I get excited for Nintendo games. And it's shocking to me that something like an Hellblade 2 could come out, which obviously it's not out yet. We still got a month and change to its release, right? We saw the combat. Everyone had concern. They shuttered all concerns. We just got a preview yesterday, and all you can, I mean, like literally, when I won't shout out the person because we don't want any bullying or anything. Literally, one of the first comments was a bunch of M's, 30 frames per second. Like, look, if you want to make this a Xbox versus PlayStation, here's my thing to you. What Unreal Engine 5 games currently are coming out of PlayStation first party that run Unreal Engine 5 that have benchmarked it? Well, that's right, absolutely nothing. Because there isn't another first party game coming out until March of 2025. And don't use Final Fantasy 16 as a rhetoric. That is a third party game that you have only exclusive rights for, has nothing to do with Sony. Don't count that because you look like a boob. Okay? I don't understand how you, as a gamer, as a human gamer, as a good human gamer, cannot sit back and be like, you know what? I'm not an Xbox. I may not even have an Xbox, but god damn it, Ninja Theory, they have done it. That is absolutely incredible. That, folks, is what's upsetting. That is what's disappointing. But please, sorry for the rant. Continue, Dreadpool.
Okay, and that's the thing, right? We need to be gamers, right? We want the best game that we can play, the best storylines, the best graphics. We want it all, but there has to be some moderation somewhere, right? And the problem is, like Boom was just saying, is this whole animosity that people just attack each other, and that's where this has to stop. You know,
Yep.
we can't be sending inappropriate pictures to devs to get dates or information. We can't be hounding on each other and us and that. We again, this is why I say we have to demand what we want, but be respectful about it. You know, if we want options to play these games, if you can't play it this way, can you give me an option to play this other way, right? Can we get a better fidelity? Maybe if we can get lower frame rates, something to balance it out. And even maybe not exactly the way we think we want, but maybe we can get something. Give us something. And that's really what it is if we can just enjoy the games. We're too busy, I don't know, bringing down everything, right? Everything's negative this, negative that. And that doesn't help when it comes to celebrating a game that's coming out. A game like this, like you said, 20 years ago, it's a movie. That's got to be real. That's you know what I mean? Even with a CGI, it's movie with CGI. This isn't. No, this is better than that, and that's the problem. Is we should be saying our disappointments. We are disappointed that it is not 60. We expected it to be 60. Can you give us a way to get 60 without having to have to go to PC? Is there something there? We need to get that out there and keep on reminding them. But let's not throw the hate train out there. And that's the problem. I think a lot of people like to watch the train wreck, or join in on that. And it's like keeping up with the Joneses on how much you can hate something as opposed to build up and create. So.
No, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, this is going to probably be one of those genre defining titles. You're already hearing the conversation within the gaming media. And like I said, I'm not saying, oh, because IGN is saying it, it's true. I said, because there were some people that came at me with that. Whoa, didn't you say, Boom, that IGN? Listen, I'm not giving them credit. I'm saying I was surprised as all hell that they actually gave credit where credit is due. That's what I said. And I read their opinion, exactly what one of their quotes. So I'm not giving them any credit. I'm just very surprised that they actually gave credit personally. But Crispy Bomb, let's continue this Hellblade 2 conversation. We are, I can't say we. I'm going to speak for myself. I cannot wait to play this game for a whole bunch of reasons. Loved the original. Got almost every achievement. I'm missing one hidden of the glyphs. I could not find it. I even tried to use a guide to get that one last achievement. I have 900 out of 1,000. Loved it. It was incredible. And again, it's a game that, depending on how you played it, you had a different experience, because I started playing it like, a regular action adventure game in third person. But then people were like, Boom, you gotta play it through listening with the headphones on. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna restart this game. So I restarted it, and my God, what a difference of an experience I had with actually hearing the voices talking to you, and the way that they used the speaker was incredible. So I would imagine that the sound in the second one is going to be just as incredible, right? But the 30 frames versus the 60 I find to be so disingenuous. If you, like I said, there are going to be some people like, oh no, Boom, I'm being serious. I really want 60. Okay, I hear you. You want 60, you can have 60. You have to play that on PC. The current tech is locked at 30. I'm okay with it, because all I know is that what my eyes saw was enough for me to say, yep, this is the decision of the game designer. Then that's what it's going to be. I have no beef with that. What are your thoughts on this, man?
Well, I have a problem, because people act like FPS is the only thing that matters. And you can do it on YouTube right now. Put it in 720p, because many games have come out with dynamic resolution, or a gravitas to say, hey, we can go 60 FPS. Put it in 720p. Put this stream in 720p. Tell me how it looks. Don't look that good.
No, it doesn't.
I don't care what you say. Okay? I've watched on my 4K TV many streams, and all of a sudden YouTube's like, oh, we can't handle this. We're going to 144p. And then I go to 720p, and I'm like, I don't even like the way this looks either. We've been through this. Okay. Some of us OGs, even though I'm the youngest of the OGs lately, I've been through this. Okay. I played arcade games that look better than any console I ever freaking owned. All right. Like, y'all need to realize they chose fidelity. They chose graphics. That's what they chose.
Yep.
Because it's a single player game. It's not multiplayer. Played multiplayer games, and we're going to get into that. Okay. Because a lot of people forget about certain multiplayer games that pushed the multiplayer aspect into better fidelity than the actual campaign. But we're going to get into that. But let's be honest. Okay. It's an 8-hour game. It's $20 less than any
$50 budgeted title.
It's $20 less than any triple IP that you've seen in a while. Okay. And it clearly has made an influence that some of the sites we've called out over this past year and a half, especially, have decided, you know what? This isn't that bad. But that's where I say, what about the receipts? What about Final Fantasy Rebirth? Oh, you can have the frames per second, but you don't get the fidelity. My God, imagine an engine that hasn't really been used yet to its full potential saying, Ninja Theory's like, you know what? This is a single player game. We want you to see what we have worked on so hard to make it look so realistic. And everybody, you can go back to Captain America less than a month ago.
Yep.
Everybody saw that and said, I had people hit me up and be like, is that the new movie? No, it's not. Okay. Because people fail to understand that most movies and TV shows run at 24 frames per second, but you get to see the realism, even if it's CGI, come to fruition. So we're talking about 30 FPS, which, I mean, by the way, Square Enix told you to play Rebirth at 30 FPS. That
fine point
there
a lot of people
is
forgot about, sir. Thank you for reminding everyone that Square Enix themselves said you should play this game in 30.
I mean, let's be honest here, okay? What I love is that Hellblade's about to come out. They've already announced it. People have played it. The majority, and have enjoyed what they've played. And then all of a sudden, Gears is mentioned. And we're going to get into that. But let's be honest here. Unreal Engine 5 has not been truly touched yet by the powers that be, the ones that take that algorithm, that massive, player base of Unreal itself, all across all platforms and everything else, and actually made it look next gen. And I think that's where people are torn. They hate that it's 30 FPS, but there is always a trade-off. There's one of those things. Do you want the fidelity? Do you want the graphics? Because these boxes can only do so much. Or do you want the FPS? And that, I mean, if you got a PC, you're going to get that. And that's fine. But us console gamers, we have a box that only has so much power. And when you're talking about, I mean, I was shocked. My girlfriend told me that she's not playing the game because when she played Hellblade 1 and messed with her head so much because of the audio that she was questioning herself as a human being at times. Okay. And she's like, I'm not playing that. So now I got to play it because I want to see the fidelity and all the voices in your head. If you put headphones on, aren't going to mean that much to me, but to her, it was like the end all be all. Like, I can't even play this game. That's what she told me. And I was like, are you serious? Like, you're not going to, no, I can't do it. That's all she said to me. So these are all assets that are involved in making the game what it is. So, I mean, go 60 FPS and not have what their vision is, which is still having what Hellblade is, a basic, gravitas to what they think people should learn and understand about people with mental illness. They're not going to let that go. You have to understand that, but that requires assets within the computing power and everything else. It requires that because even in Hellblade 1, I felt the way she did at a point in time, and then I just got frustrated. I ignored the voices. She did not. She like every word that was said was like placed on her head, and she was like, I can't do this. And she had to walk away. She loved the way the game looked and everything else. She couldn't handle it. But that's part of what they're trying to make you understand. And for Xbox to allow them to do that and say, hey, you know what? It's not Starfield. Okay. Starfield locked 30. A lot of people hated it. A lot of people loved it. Okay. But it's not an open world game. It's not the same as what everybody wants to imagine. I've played Division at 60 FPS. I've played a lot of open world games at 60 FPS. Okay. But this is more recent than the past. But they didn't go for the fidelity. They went for the fidelity as time went by, and they had a new iteration with a new console, or they used PC as the benchmark that they could upgrade or degrade depending on what it is. So we're in a cusp right now. Do you want the visuals or do you want the frames per second? Because anybody that actually listened to me and put it to 720p on this stream would look at Boom's gameplay and say, nah, that's not my jam. And yeah, it might be streaming, but it don't matter. I've watched people say the same things about games that come out both consoles. And then we act like Nintendo ain't there doing 720p maximum. Okay? Like, come on, people. Let's be serious, all right? You could have 60 FPS and be 1420p, and then people be like, oh, it's Nintendo. It don't matter. I could get 60 FPS. That's all that matters. Like, does it really? Come on. Like, do you want actual, like, looking at something and saying, man, this looks really good? Or do you want to feel like, and PvP, little different. I'd rather have the motion and everything else feel more fluid. But this isn't PvP. This is PvE single player. Okay? You're playing a computer. What are we talking about here? I want to see what they want to make. And they decided to say the same thing Starfield did. We want to lock it on the console at 30 FPS. We're having the same argument again, and it's sad.
It is. But you know what? Ultimately, this game's going to come out. It is going to turn heads as it's turning. People are going to experience it. Whether it's 8 hours, 10 hours, or someone like me who goes through every nook and cranny, puts 15 or 20 hours through a first run or playthrough. You're gonna have something that is going to be an end of the year conversation for Game of the Year. This is the first true next generation game. Obviously, it is a budgeted title, and I got news for you. Anyone else, if this would have been a Sony game, $76.43 after tax, no doubt about it. There's no way they would have said $50. The fact that you can spend $50 or you can play it in Game Pass is another tremendous plus. Again, I don't know about you fine folks. I run through games like this usually twice, especially something like this. I'm thrilled that everyone that is reporting on it walked away like, holy shit, this is the first next generation game. I think it was, who was it that said it? Paul Tassi reported on everyone else's report saying that the glowing reviews of Hellblade 2 are impressive. There was another one that said Microsoft has a real banger on their hands. This is the rhetoric, and it's you know what? Honestly, it's refreshing. It's refreshing to see, because Starfield, to this day, everyone that has played it, that has enjoyed it, that has beaten the game 8 times, has gotten all the different types of endings that you can get, are still talking about it, and the people that have never played it are still hating on that game. It's unbelievable that game has come out. It's done so many great things, and it's talked about and it's pandered upon. It's just disappointing. But gentlemen, I have a ridiculous amount of super chats, and then we're going to get into the topic of the show for crispy bomb, and that's it. That is, of course, Gears of War 6, folks. Some big news came out. Again, it's short formed, but I think there's a lot to get into. Gears 6 is expected to be one of the best looking in the series. They are going to push, and I say they, the coalition, masters of the Unreal Engine, are going to be pushing this game. We've heard some AI talk behind the scenes about it being heavily influenced in what they're doing. It is, again, we'll read what Shinobi 602 had to say. And listen, whether you like him, you love him, you hate him, you don't trust him, it's fine. I happen to like Shinobi 602. I've been following him for quite a bit, and I like his reporting. And this is one of the times where, if you were wondering what his thoughts were, well, he put it out there in the ether. But the first super chat of the day, wow, man, this comes away of Kay Asante, who drops an outstanding $20 super chat and says, the movement is real. Don't expect IMAX fidelity on your TCL. Boom games primarily on console. I own my PC, but we both get PC. Don't fall for the marketing. If you are mad at 30 frames per second, real in capitals, next gen gamers own on a console. Hashtag get a PC. I mean, that's what it really comes down to. Quan the Terrible, who's been a channel member for 5 months, he doesn't even say anything. Quan, welcome to the show, brother. Thank you for being here, and thank you for the outstanding support. We have Mo de la Garza in the chat. He drops a very generous $2 super chat and says, World of Warcraft on Xbox handheld? I mean, I think they're working on that. A console version of WoW. I mean, again, that wouldn't so much be for me, but I know that would be for a whole mess of people. And I think that would be on PlayStation. I don't think you'd see it on Nintendo, but I definitely think that would be multi-plat because they're going to make a lot of money. We have ADM drops a very generous £2 super chat and says, thanks for letting the chat open unlike others, cough, LOL. I mean, listen, this is a conversational podcast. Listen, we don't have to agree, but doesn't mean your opinion isn't important. Now, again, we start to walk a razor's edge if people start to be bullies or say anything racial or sexual oriented. Then you got to get banned. We can't have any of that talk here. That's not the kind of show that we roll. Everyone is welcome here. Everyone is welcomed here. Andre Doyle drops a very generous $5 super chat. And he says this, Hellblade 2 is true. Next generation, making God of War and others look like Saturday morning cartoons. Unreal Engine 5 is very demanding technology. Indeed it is. And again, I will say this, when you start to see the people start to compare Horizon and The Last of Us 1 and 2, and of course, Horizon, whether it's be Forbidden West or the original, that is running Unreal Engine 4.2. Okay, it's also a cross-generational game. Yes, they have performance modes, but if you really take a keen eye to what is happening, Kratos or Aloy or Joel and Ellie, they look great. Some of the environments look good, but some of it is a little washed out. This is Unreal Engine 5 that you're seeing, folks, not Unreal Engine 4. And they're doing things. Listen, I'm going to put it to this way. When the game is officially out, you'll see some gameplay. Let's do some comparisons side by side. And you're going to see that this game is going to be the better of those conversations. Eli Shalomovich, good friend of ours, all the way from Israel. How you doing, brother? Hopefully you are staying well and safe. He says this after dropping a $10 super chat. He says the narrative, ABT, Sony having more performance modes in games ignores that none of their games have as many AI and systems as Starfield or pushes fidelity as in Hellblade 2. Call us when they push the envelope. I mean, that's a phenomenal point. Andre Doyle drops an additional very generous $2 super chat and says, Coalition and Ninja Theory are masters of the Unreal Engine 5. Indeed, they are. And what we know about the Coalition is they've been pretty much helping everyone that's working on it on Microsoft who's making an Xbox game, which is pretty dope. Let's see. J-Mac, who's been a channel member for 29 months, brother. Thank you for the outstanding generosity and support. He says, what's the FPS of Hellblade 2 on the PlayStation 5? Asking for a friend. Xbox World Order. It's fully operational. Hashtag gray beers. I love the slander. It's great. It's fun. And that's right. As a matter of fact, someone said something in the chat. I got to see if I can find it about that the fidelity on YouTube for PlayStation 5 players when Hellblade comes out is not going to be as good. It's going to be compressed. So you're probably going to get a worse looking game. That is slanderous, but it's also very true. Of course, Freddie Fox had dropped a $2 super chat earlier. When we talked about the earthquake, which was like all my collectibles, they're all moved on the shelf. Like I didn't even know my screen was shaking. Dreadpool said the screen was shaking. I got to find that. I may throw it up as a YouTube short. Oh no, earthquake!
Even Crispy felt it.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just crazy. Gamer by choice. Welcome back, brother. Nice to see you in the chat. He drops very generous $5 super chat and says, "Boom. We can't expect people to be happy and fair about humanity to be fair and happy for gaming. Gaming shows people just need to be better." Yeah, well, that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to be part of the movement of let's just have fun. Let's keep positivity at the forefront of what we're doing and remember why we're doing this, right? We got to remember why we are doing these podcasts because, well, we love gaming. And even more so than that, folks, all of us here love this community. And the community reciprocates by showing up to watch these shows, and we are super appreciated. So obviously, it's a give and take, and I think that it should be all about gaming, and we should have fun, we should laugh, we should joke, but we shouldn't attack each other. We shouldn't be slanderous for the point of trying to get extra clicks and subs. That's gross. That you'll never see here, and I don't think you'll never see that from anybody on this panel. We have Andy Grand. Well, Andy, welcome to the program, brother. He drops a very generous $10 super chat and says, console makers ask devs what they want in a new console. Console makers make new hardware announcement. Devs go beyond, as artists do, what is given to them. Why are we blaming console makers for 30 frames per second? I mean, it's a great point. Again, I think that if 30 frames like legitimately is bothersome to you, then you are probably a PC player. And if you're not, maybe you should be. I mean, again, I'm not making excuses, but the truth of the matter is we get what we get with these consoles. This is a $500 box that has tech that's 4 years old. And to be quite fair, the tech that came out 4 years ago was already aging. So they're doing what they can with this, and you're getting Unreal Engine 5, which is, again, I have to keep saying it because people are not understanding it. Ninja Theory found a way to benchmark how Unreal Engine 5 is used. So much so that in the leaks, Insomniac Games said moving forward, how they're going to make their games is how Ninja Theory makes their games. Did you forget about that, folks? Because I certainly did not. We have J Mac drops a very generous $5 super chat and says this: we Xbox gamers have to understand PlayStation has never been in this position. All they have left is kicking and screaming. LOL. Yeah, they're in a pickle. They certainly are in a pickle. They're directionless, and I think that is scary for a lot of PlayStation players because they've been the leader for so long. They're used to them just being the leader. And yes, they're in first place. Yes, they're selling a whole mess of consoles, but no one knows what they're doing. Hell, I don't even know if they know what they're doing at this point. We have Chris R. drops a very generous $5 super chat. It says, I'm curious to see if the Coalition can get 60 out of the Unreal Engine 5 for the next Gears. That's going to be a conversation. I don't know, honestly. They typically are the masters of that tech, indeed. Chaos Theory 81. Chaos Theory, nice to see you in the chat as always, brother. He says this, well, he's been a channel member, folks, for 52 months. Wow, that's probably as long as the channel's been around. Dude, that is crazy generous of you. Thank you for that. He says, remember, guys, GTA 6 is going to be 30 frames per second. Keep that same energy. Indeed. Even with the PlayStation 5 Pro, you're not getting GTA to run 60. You're just not, folks. It's just not going to happen. El Chapo 117 drops a very generous $5 super chat. And I did not hear this. He says, did you guys hear about State of Decay 3 at the Xbox June show? I'm going to have to investigate that. I would imagine it's a good chance it's going to be there. That is also Unreal Engine 5 as well. But I'm gonna check that up, brother. Thank you so much for that. We have Jax82 drops a very generous $10 super chat, and he says it's not what Xbox promised: 60 to 120 FPS, not 30. I get what you're saying, but I didn't buy a console to be told to play it on PC. Something has to be done about that at some point. Okay, so Jax82 has a fair point here, and I think where there is valid pushback is Aaron Greenberg said a couple of years ago, and people are pulling the receipts, and I can't argue with it. He said that the standard moving forward was going to be 60 frames. And I hear you. And I get it. And you're 100% right. You, as a customer, feel that this is how you feel. I'm not going to fight you on it, Jax. I mean, if you're disappointed and you don't like the idea of having to go anywhere else, then you're in your rights to feel that way. There's no arguing your feelings. Do I think that they're right or wrong? It's not my opinion. I don't have an opinion about that. That's how you feel, man. That's how you feel. But I'm also trying to take a step back and say, wait a second. Yes, they promised 60. At the time, were they running Unreal Engine 5? I don't know. They're running. This game is the first true next generation game running in Unreal Engine 5 that has now benchmarked that technology. No one has done that yet. Now, what we know, the benchmark is going to be moved once again once the Coalition shows off Gear 6, and we're hearing that it's going to bleed your eyeballs. But no, you're not wrong. You're not wrong feeling that way. And of course, a lot of people are feeling, have like, well, I'm a customer. They told me 60 to 120. This is 30. I'm mad. You know what? If you are, you have every right to be. But there are some people that are being disingenuous because it's console war related, and that's what they want to roll with. You're being a true person. You're like, yeah, this is what they told me. I'm disappointed. You have every right to be, brother. Every right. Can we have two more, and we'll get back to the program. Torino Johnson drops a very generous $5 super chat. He says, we need to be thankful for what we are getting. Buying it even through, buying it even though I have Game Pass. Great time to be alive for gaming. Yeah, this is another going to be a solid year. We're already off to the races. This year's rocking. And Gamer by Choice drops an additional very generous $2 super chat and says, was the standard 60 frames per second using all of the tools? I don't know. I'm not a tech guy like that. But let's get into Gears of War 6, Crispy. I'm going to you first. This is your jam, but we are here to talk about it. Okay, so the original story, because of course I'm all about giving where credit is due. Tom Warren posted the kind of funny XCast clip. Obviously, Paris was there, Snowbike Mike was there, as well as Jeff Grubb and Jeff Grubb of Giant Bomb. We had known that there was going to be some sort of a scoop because Paris the night before had said, "Hey guys, tune in to XCast. Jeff Grubb is going to have a scoop on Gears of War 6." Now, it wasn't a lot. It's not a lot of meat on this bone, but it kind of falls in line of what a lot of us heard. I specifically heard that there's going to be a lot of Gears at the June show. This confirms that. And this is what Jeff Grubb had to say on the XCast. I heard some stuff with Gear 6 might be happening this summer. Now, again, it's short. It's sweet. It's to the point. Crispy, we are going to get Gear 6. We kind of figured it was time. We've been without a new Gears for 5 years. It's time for them to show off their wares. Now, are we getting a new Gears this year? No. I think Gears of War 6 is next year, and potentially, maybe, depending on where it falls, it would be a damn good launch title for the next hardware. But we'll talk about it. Let's get your hot take on the Gears reveal, the Gear 6 reveal, whatever it's going to be called, at this June. I think my prediction is we're going to see a lot of OG Xbox games shown off in new ways this June. What are your thoughts, man?
I mean, let's be honest here. The Coalition, as far as Unreal Engine 5, they help Epic. A lot of people don't realize that. You can look at the Matrix demo as well. They do things that nobody else is capable of. They still have after Rod left, Mike Crump is the studio head. You haven't seen him in the limelight, but he's still there. And he's chilling. And he's saying, we're going to make something special. We're going to make something that will hit your FPS, people. I'm telling you right now, I played Gears games that were hitting FPS long before any PlayStation game was. Just telling you. The 1X, hey, 4K 60. Gears 5. Huh, yeah, it was there in an update. How about that? Y'all forget that there are games. I mean, the State of K3 thing. Well, interesting. UE5. Huh. Isn't that funny? This might be the UE5 showcase. They're gonna put out games that are already coming out, but they're gonna showcase the power of what they feel is capable of. Now, you could say Hellblade. Oh, it's not FPS. That doesn't mean the Coalition can't do that. Excuse me. I played 60 FPS 4K on the 1X. That was how many years ago? Think about that.
Yeah.
So relax. Let it happen. I mean, Gears is Gears. And if it comes out in 2026, which I believe in past podcasts, I said 2025, 2026. If they're coming out with new hardware, you damn well believe that that's going to be a launch title. And I've also seen people say, if that's true, that's going to be a pinnacle of next gen. And here's why. Because generally, Gears of War has been built on bringing the aspect of frames per second to their multiplayer. And they have pushed the multiplayer harder than the single player. Until Gears 5, it was 30 FPS unless there was updates afterwards. So the campaign will be 60, and God knows what you're able to do with iterations of the fact that the multiplayer is what you want to play. Do you want it at 120, which did everybody forget that you could technically play with dynamic resolution?
Yep.
120 on your Series X of Gears 5. I mean, let's be honest here. The Coalition knows what they're doing. And all I, as a Gears fan, can hope for is that within the next year from this day, we see a launch of the Phoenix Collection in UE5. And the only reason why I've said this many times, because I have, is that they love to learn and revamp their old IPs to learn the new iteration of Unreal. And they've done this multiple times, including the worst Gears of all time, Judgment. Because if you go and play that game right now, it don't look that bad, bro. Just telling you. And I loved certain aspects. I hated the way they developed the multiplayer. And I think that's where Gears fans lost interest. And we went back to Gears 3 because you went too crazy. You took weapons away from us. You did this and that. That's how passionate Gears fans are. We don't even care about how good the game looked because it looked really good. We care about how does that gameplay feel, and it don't feel like Gears. So I hope, and all I can hope, is that it looks the way I expect, and it also plays like Gears. But why not, with a Netflix series and everything else come out, say, hey, if the Netflix movie is going to actually go there and they could
Oh,
bring out another
right.
iteration. Let's go back a little bit. Let's start it off. I mean, that's kind of, people hate or love the Halo series, but as we've gotten through this season, I'm gonna tell you right now, people are enveloped in that story, but also don't even know what the real story is. I do, and even though I don't play Halo like that, I still love the story.
Yeah, and dude,
And-
if they do, if think about this for a second, Crispy. If you get a new Gears, right, which we know is on the way, you get a potential Marcus Phoenix collection done in Unreal Engine 5, which makes sense, right? They would use that as like a training, like hey, we're gonna rework the old Gears and learn and learn Unreal Engine 5. Let's say that happens. You if you add both of those titles to a conversation, and then you add a potential anime, which we know that they're working on an animated series of Gears, but the live action film, dude, they're going to come back in such a big way. Like, I have so many expectations for this game, and again, I just based on, let me pull up my DM for a second. So I want this for some context based on what Shinobi 602 had to say. Let me find it. Give me 30 seconds, gentlemen. Where is it? For the love of Joe. Okay, Fangul. Okay.
He said
I'll
face
find,
melting.
yeah. Basically, yeah, he said that people aren't ready for it. I'm going to get the exact quote in a second, but look, at the end of the day, they've been working on this game for years, Crispy. We know that Unreal Engine 5 is going to be at the core. What we don't know, and what they're not talking about, and maybe they will talk about this June, is whether or not it's going to be 60 or 30. I think that if I'm a betting kind of a guy, because they are who they are, it's probably going to be 60. I don't know how they're going to get that to work, but they're going to get it to 60. And maybe at some point there will be an update for Hellblade where they show them how to get it to 60. But right now that's at 30. Gears at I think is going to be 60. But yeah, this June is going to be very telling, and you and I are going to be, you're probably going to be, live with me where we're going to be covering it. So that's going to be dope.
I mean, let's be honest here. Like, they've done this before. Just people ignore it. I mean, if you don't understand Gears lore and everything else, like, that's where, like, you had Shadows on Xlog. I'm gonna tell you right now, he's the pinnacle. Like, he should be the community manager for Gears of War. I'm sorry.
This?
I mean, Shadows.
Oh yeah, he was with us yesterday. Yeah, he was super excited. Yeah,
dude, like, he bleeds Gears. I bleed Gears too, but not on the same
days a week in Gears.
not on the same aspect. Like, that man knows his stuff, and I'm gonna tell you, like, the story of Gears of War is incredible, and I feel like there's a lot of people that don't understand it. And what better way than push the graphics, the frames per second, everything else, and give us a Phoenix collection, and then announce that, hey, Gears 6 is coming. I mean, we've done this before. They did this with Gears 5. You know what I mean? Like, they have done things like this. It's not the worst thing in the world. Nobody really hated it. Just some people don't understand it. And it's third person over the shoulder. You just take cover. What's the hell the difference between what you have and the stuff you do on PlayStation? I think it's a great move. I think it's perfect, because I feel like State of Decay 3, if that's true, could relish in the fact that UE5 has the capability of doing things that people don't even realize. And it started with Captain America.
Yeah.
Okay. And people were like, is that a movie? But still having the gameplay, still having the PvP. I have heard myself that PvP for Gears, whatever it may be, is already playable. That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
Okay. And we've been through, like, dude, I went through the Gears 4 beta, and it looked like absolute trash, but it played good. And people were like, oh, Gears is done. And then all of a sudden it came out and everybody's like, oh, this is really good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you could say what you want about the coalition. The only thing I could say is they give a crap about Gears. And for those people that said there was no Gears 6 coming out, there's a few of you, by the way, that actually have some kind of gravitas. I'm going to tell you right now, why the hell would they end a story like that? And I'll leave it at that.
No. Listen, great points. And I saw some of those tweets. People, again, you keep receipts. I don't. But I know you're gonna pull those when Gear 6 is announced. You're gonna be like, hey, receipt. I'm gonna show you off to the world. Fuzzy Belvedere, I want to bring you into the conversation because we got a couple of super chats here. One was specifically asking because you're very knowledgeable when it comes to Unreal Engine. So Roar Rebel drops a very generous $2 super chat and says maybe Perfect Dark and more Fable at the showcase. I think that yes, almost. I can't say I have it confirmed. I'm pretty sure we're going to get Perfect Dark. More Fable, yes, please. Let's get some more Fable in there. But Bold Alpha Wolf says this after dropping a very generous $2 super chat. I want to hear from what Fuzzy thinks. And Fuzzy, I got some context to this because I pulled an article. Now, this one, I'm all about giving credit where credit is due. This was posted by Dextro. It was Patrick Dane who wrote the article yesterday. And we had some, again, just kind of putting everything together when it comes to Gears. We obviously talked about Kind of Funny's XCast, where it was both Paris, Lily, and Jeff Grubb talking about Gears of 6. Potentially being at this year's summer show. Well, we had some more clarification because Tom Warren of The Verge actually did a very, again, simple tweet regarding the announcement from Grubb and it being there in the summer. He said, Tom Warren said, correct. Also, and again, this is what I was talking about before, on a Reset Era forum post, longtime insider Shinobi602 responded to a poster about the new Hellblade 2 screenshots and how they said that this is stunning work. I can't believe it. His response to this poster was, wait until you see Gears. People aren't ready. I'm getting goosebumps there, Fuzzy. Let's talk about it. Gears 6, Unreal Engine 5. I would imagine, like I said earlier, they're going to benchmark that once again. They are the masters of that. And I would imagine they're going to push the console literally to its breaking point. Let's talk about it.
Well, you got to keep in mind, they've been working so closely with Epic as far as that engine from get-go and over the past, several iterations. They're probably the leading studio more so than Epic that made their own engine when it comes to, coding for games in that manner. I think the big thing is, I'm not necessarily expecting 60 from the campaign on Gear 6, but I do feel that they will have a performance mode that will be 60. It may not have the ray tracing. It'll do the screen space reflections, kind of like what they did with Gears 5, but you won't really notice that much of a fall off in that regard. The visual fidelity of it will be face melting at that point. That performance mode will look pretty much almost as good as their, I guess you could say, cinema mode, or what they'll have is like your base way that they display the game, where it will look like you're in an interactive movie that plays smoothly, great frame pacing and everything. Their multiplayer obviously will stay at 60 with a probably 120 frame mode, but I think they will be one of those devs that will be able to offer a performance mode for Unreal Engine 5. Will there be some sacrifices? Sure. It'll probably be a dynamic as opposed to native 4K, but that's kind of to be expected because even as beautiful as Unreal Engine 5 looks, it is bloated with a lot of textures and things which aren't as much as what Unreal Engine 4 had to deal with them using those like the millions of triangles and things like that as far as the core pixels, or I forget what or quixels or whatever they call them. But overall, from a visual standpoint, 5 is still going to be that thing that is going to be a bit of a slug on these current consoles. But Coalition, if anybody can do it, Coalition is the ones. And like I said, I think they will have a performance mode that it just won't be native 4K. But in the grand scheme of things, I think the June showcase is going to be possibly that highlight of the once talked about Phoenix Collection type of deal. I think that's where they'll like lure everybody in, show how great that looks. And that one will have, since it will be Unreal Engine 5, but on a older code-based game where it'll be easier to get the fidelity as well as the frames. I think that one will be like a lock 60, probably even have 120 frame mode. But I think that will get people drooling over it, and then they'll show like a vertical slice for in-engine assets, or maybe even just a vertical slice of actual gameplay. Because I still think with it being targeted for 2026 as a launch title or a cross-gen launch title, I think that's where we'll see it finally released. But in the grand scheme of things, I think they're going to lure us in with the Phoenix Collection, give us a taste of Gear 6, and that's going to be the main talk. Where even for those that want to talk about Hellblade at the 30 frames, I think this will kind of overshadow that aspect. Maybe not overshadow the game as a whole, but at least the 30 frames aspect when it comes to visual fidelity in Unreal Engine 5. But it's almost like it's going to be the perfect storm, because we saw a lot of the studios that Xbox acquired more recently using Unreal Engine 5. So I'm hoping we also get the State of Decay info as well. Like, I know someone had mentioned that in the chat earlier.
Actually, I pulled it up. It's being reported by Tom Henderson of Insider Gaming. And the story reads, State of Decay 3 teased by Insider for the June Xbox show. Now, of course, let me just read a bit of the story. So again, for context, folks, Windows Central's, we'll talk about Jez in a second, Jez Corden has teased that State of Decay could be making an appearance at the June Xbox showcase. Taking to Twitter, Corden said this: I'm excited about Gear 6 for the June Xbox showcase, but there's another game whose state I'm incredibly excited to learn more about. The tease is the state, which many fans believe he's referencing State of Decay 3. What's more interesting is there was a report by Xbox Era in March of 2022 where Phil Spencer took who was on the show at that particular, I think it was their 100th episode or their 200th episode, and said, looking at State of Decay 3, I'm incredibly excited about some of the advancements they're going to make. So yeah, there you go. So State of Decay 3 potentially at the show as well. This is going to be a crazy showcase, dude.
Yeah, and we've heard some rumblings in the background before that some of the team from Coalition had lent some of their expertise to that team. I know the Undead Labs team has gone through some changes or musical chairs earlier on after the acquisition, but I think they've had at least the past 3 years have been pretty solid as far as dev time in that. But to my understanding, Coalition has also helped them with some of the tools and some of the things that they've learned with Unreal, working in Unreal, on how to get their game. Where I know a lot of people were probably like, oh, well, that was all CGI for the State of Decay. But the way Unreal Engine 5 looks today, as we see with Hellblade and what we'll probably see in June with Gears, even the collection or Gear 6, that CGI might be a downgrade in comparison to what we actually see in game these days. But yeah, Coalition have always been considered the wizards of Unreal. It's going to be interesting to see how everything pans out come June. We know that they had to shelve one other project that they were working on, but just as easily they could have converted that over to a collection, or taking what they've learned from that, or use that as a learning tool to now go full bore into 6. But really curious to see what they got cooking, especially considering Xbox now being a little bit more open to certain people in the social media community, when they leak certain things. I'm if they're excited, and these aren't typically the people that are excited about Xbox related things.
Yep.
Yeah, they're definitely showing some heat. So can't wait until June to see what that is.
I can't wait for May 21st for us to get our first taste of true next generation game in Hellblade. I mean, again, you're seeing what I'm seeing, folks. I haven't been privy to any previews, at least not yet. So, yeah, I'm super stoked, and I think that we're going to see a lot of Unreal Engine 5 stuff come this June. We know 2 of the games for sure that are using it. Whether they're going to be there or not, well, we don't know. But we're definitely going to see Gear 6 is using it. And, of course, so is State of Decay 3 with Undead Labs. I cannot wait. I'm looking forward to that. Dreadpool, let's get your hot takes on the Gears of War 6 reveal. And again, it is expected to show off in a big way. The June showcase is only a couple months away. I'm certainly going to try and get there, do some boots on the ground coverage. I know Hargeet is going, and I want to get out there. I got to see what Microsoft is doing. Hopefully, I can get into the showcase if I do go out to California. But let's talk about Gear 6 expectations. Do you think that the Coalition is once again going to prove why they are the masters of Unreal Engine? Uh-oh, you're muted. No.
There
we go. There
All
we
right.
go.
So first things first, no disrespect to Jeff Grubb, no disrespect to Jez or any of the other ones, Tom Warren and all that. But just to let you guys know, Gear 7 is coming out in 2029. We're going to hear something about that. I'm first, okay? So screw you guys. I'm first.
Man, I
Heard
love it.
here
That's
first.
good stuff.
So
you heard it, folks. 2027, Gear 7. I love it with a volcano. I mean, I guess that's the end of the Earth then at that point.
Right.
Or Sierra.
So anyway, no, but that that's the thing though, right? We know the Coalition has done exceptional work with Unreal Engine 5. If anybody's going to do the 60 frames, this is it. They've done it before with 5. They've shown that they can do stuff. They've worked hand in hand with the Unreal Engine team. I mean, we had the demo. We've talked about that. It's just everything's on the up and up, and this will be definitely exciting. This will definitely could be the momentum that we need. Right? We were just talking about how we wanted 30 frames to be 60 frames, and this could be it. I don't see them going backwards with this. They know that this is a community that will tear them apart, not just the Xbox community, the Gears community. So, they know that they have to do this right. They can't screw this up, and there is no going back. They have to keep going. So 60 should be the minimum from them. I could see them because, again, it's a competitive shooter. It needs to, 120 is probably going to be more of a target, and it's good to see that whatever is going to come out, we should be happy with, and that's, not saying that we're going to take whatever they give us. If they give us trash, they're not going to give us trash, but if they do, we're not going to be happy with it. We'll definitely bring it out there to them and tell them what we think. We've done it with 5, and can we add the of war back? Can we do that? That'd be nice, because what was the whole point of Gears? I understand Rod had his
War 6.
Yeah, I mean, I understand Rod had his reasonings, but whatever. But I wanted to go back to the nitty gritty dirtiness of it. It was more realistic, and I understand the health factors with cigarettes and all that stuff. But really, the gameplay should be where they should be concentrating. Give us a storyline, get it nice and dirty like they did. Get us in the feels. Right?
How about some survival horror feelings? Does anyone remember? Because I go back to this because, like, me and my brother Neo Mental, obviously, when you get a chance to play online with people, we got a chance to do that with the old Xbox. But there are some finite moments in our gaming lives as brothers that are just like tip of the spear stand out. And the one that I always go back to, and I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it, is when the first time we played Gears in co-op, and we got to the refinery, and it was dark, and there was lightning, and it was raining, and you saw stuff running in the background, and we were like, "Holy shit!" And I remember when everything popped off, we had each other's backs. It was so good. Like like honestly, it's one of those gaming moments I will take to the grave with me as being like the pinnacle of online gaming. And yeah, I'd like to see getting back to again. I'm sorry I went off on a tangent, but
No,
I
no,
want them to get back to some of that
that's
horror.
that's
And
that's what
you of all people would like horror. I mean, come on,
yes.
you're Dreadpool.
I mean, but that's the thing, right? And we've asked this for Halo. We want to see the flood again. We want like when
Oh,
we first dealt with it, right?
yes.
And that was the whole thing. The flood was something that was like, you're running backwards and you're oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, trying to like stay alive. This was a different feel. This changed that oh crap moments, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And it held its own. It wasn't a Me Too. Oh yes, let's do what they did. No, they didn't do any of that. They did their own way, and you were sucked into it because you were sucked into the storyline, and that's what I want. I want that part of it, and I feel because of their expertise with the engine, they will show, and that's what we want, right? We want the first party dev teams. We want them to show the rest of the world, the rest of the devs, how to do it right by how they are using the tools at their disposal. So it's the tools that they have by Xbox, the tools that they're using with Unreal Engine, the meld of all of that give us a good storyline, good controls with gunplay, like your covers, all of that, and melded it into an opera for games. You know what I mean? Just the whole melody of everything on how you play, interact, all that stuff, and do that. That's what we want, and I see that as a possibility. Not that it's not going to happen. It's going to happen. It's just I don't know, and I don't want to assume too much because you know what that happens, right? But I see that this vision, without knowing anything about the game, I see this vision that it's going to be a great game. It's going to set new standards again, just like how 5 did with certain aspects. So
Totally
I'm
looking
excited.
forward to it. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, there is a lot to get excited about. Again, this is why, like, when you start to see people kind of like bandwagoning Xbox is dead, Xbox is dying, Xbox is going third party, folks. Just look at what's coming out this year. How could you as a gamer not be excited to be a part of the conversation with Indiana Jones and Hellblade and Avowed and everything else they have coming out? I don't get it. Plus, it, the June show, Dreadpool.
It's the hypocrisy, right? We got these games coming out. We know that this stuff is here. We have a roadmap that everybody's been asking for, and then you look at the other side, and there's nothing there. There's nothing.
No, it's not.
Right? But it's okay.
All right, just real quick, I want to give a shout out to King Webb in the chat. He's the one that DM'd me with the State of Decay 3 story from Insider Gaming. So, brother, shout out to you, King Webb. Appreciate the you dropping it in there. Listen, I know we don't have a lot of time. We still got 25 minutes, so we got enough time to get into the Jez Corden stuff. Jez Corden, who I think is, and again, this is just my personal opinion. I know Jez personally. I like him a lot. Got a chance to meet him a couple of years ago. Hopefully, he'll be going to E3 this year, and we can, whatever it's going to be called, Summer Games Fest, whatever. We get a chance to meet up and maybe have I won't drink. He'll have a beer. I'll have a Dr. Pepper or a ginger ale because, well, that's who I am. But he wrote an opinion piece. Was posted yesterday. Obviously, he works for Windows Central outside of the work that he does with Randall Thor 19 on the Xbox 2 podcast. It was a very beefy and meaty, well-researched article, which he's known for. Jez Corden only gets himself in trouble when he gets drunk, and he gets on the podcast and says things maybe he shouldn't be saying, but we love Jez, right? And there was a lot to go over with this article. I'm not going to read verbatim because it's like a 15-minute read, folks. But I am going to, we are going to talk about it. He's gotten a lot of pushback on it. I don't see anything wrong with him having his opinion. I will say that there's some things I don't agree with. Some things I do. And one of the things I do agree with is some of the messaging that continues to, rake step Xbox. Fuzzy, I want to go to you first on this. If there's one thing an Xbox gamer or, podcaster can say is Microsoft just sometimes doesn't get it when it comes to their messaging. This is not being slanderous. This is not being console worry. This is just it is what it is. Their messaging, and again, this is not talking about their marketing. Their marketing has gotten a pinch better. I want to see what they're going to do with Hellblade, then I'll give my report card. But their messaging has not been the greatest. This article from Jez Corden of Windows Central was a beefy one, and he had a lot of opinions about some of the messaging, some of the marketing. Where I do definitely push back on, and I'm very surprised that Jez would actually, have this opinion, is Xbox potentially losing its identity by having a Steam and Epic's Game Store app on the next Xbox. I think that should enhance your experience. The box that is going to be underneath your TV is probably going to be very PC heavy, but it's going to run like your current Xbox. You're going to press the power button, your screen is going to come up, your dashboard's going to pop on, and you're going to go. They're streamlining a new way of bringing you a PC experience through the console. I think they do that already. I think that this universal platform for what Xbox is, that was talked about by Phil Spencer and during that Polygon interview, is they're working on an OS that is going to be unified. It's going to be across all platforms. It's going to be on your tablet, on your TV, on your PC, on the box underneath your TV. I think, and again, I use myself as a test subject. I'm not a PC guy. I played on PC? Sure. It's just not my bag. It's fine. I understand. I'm a console dude. I always have been, probably always will be. So I'm not a Steam customer. I'm not an Epic Game Store customer, Fuzzy. But if I had the ability to download a game that's only available on these services on my Xbox, well, now I have become a customer that they didn't have before. And I know I'm not the only one. What were your highlights and lowlights of the Jez Corden article?
Well, for me, the highlights are going to be also when it comes to mixed messaging, and there doesn't seem to be this awareness of optics sometimes. And this, I don't want to nitpick, but Josh Sawyer made a post on Twitter showing, do I have enough things hooked to the TV? And there's some dev kits. There's also some PlayStation dev kits there too, which may not be the best look. Yes, I know they already, ported Pentiment over there and whatnot, but certain things at certain times might not be the best. But then again, this is a game company, so we shouldn't really pay attention to that minutia type of deal. But it doesn't necessarily help with parts of the community as far as those within the Xbox ecosystem. I don't care either way in that regard, but it's something that is going to, rub some people the wrong way. Obviously, I think Josh got the message and since deleted that post, but all in all, they've had silly things along those lines, whether it be through social media or, press interviews and things along those lines, or the feedback from the 120 frames on PS5 and only 60 on Xbox, or the shadows, which once again, these are minor things, but those minor things, was it like death by 1,000 cuts kind of thing? Sometimes those tend to add up to where we saw people selling their Xbox or whatever. I'm not for that. Like, as much as the 4 games going over kind of pissed me off, being the old school Sega fan kind of thing.
You know why? You're petty. I'm petty. And you know
Yeah.
something? That is okay to be petty. At least we're honest.
Yeah.
Please continue, sir.
But I'm not selling my Xbox, nor did I cancel my Game Pass subscription. I plan on keeping that because the key reasons for those are the games that are coming. I could just sit there and wait with my PS5, but why would I do that when I can play them day one on my Xbox with a subscription I already have, with a system I already have? And if, push comes to shove, if the fidelity isn't quite to my liking, I have the PC as the other alternative. But, that's the thing where I hope at some point they can kind of take a step back and look. Like when you're inside the building working within a company, sometimes you have blinders on because you're only communicating with those within the company, and you might see things a certain way, but your customer base sees it totally different. And I know that they sometimes listen to the feedback, or they listen, or they hear us and so forth. But sometimes I think they need not necessarily a reality check per se, but it does need to reach those ears as far as, hey, how do you think sometimes a non-current Xbox potential customer would see things where you're putting games over there? They haven't bought your system, or they haven't even upgraded from last generation yet. They're still with their PS5 or PS4 or their Xbox One, and they're about ready to make that transition. And Hellblade is that type of game that looks like it's next generational. And if the socials are all about the 30 frames and they see that, is that something that might turn them away? It's good that they had a little bit better control of the messaging as far as around the game, but you're always going to have those outliers or those bad actors that are only going to focus on the studio head leaving, or only on the 30 frames aspect things. But that's something that, as time progresses, hopefully they get better at. But as far as the future and a lot of the things that they're looking forward to doing, yes, I know it, for some of us dinosaurs out there, it seems like they're throwing out the baby for the bathwater, or however the saying goes. But having things like Steam, and I've said this before, there's so many early access games, which, yes, we have a preview program on the Xbox platform, but there are so many games over on Steam, not as much on Epic, but a lot of games that are on Steam that are early access that would, I guess, appeal more so to the console base, that are controller certified and not just keyboard and mouse certified, that will almost never come to console, or if they do, it's usually years later. Like Ready or Not is a perfect example. 6 Days of Fallujah is another perfect example. Both of them have console or controller support, albeit that Ready or Not's probably better keyboard and mouse. But all of those things being said, those having access to those games through Steam would be where you're just adding to what you already have within your ecosystem. So an additive option, something that isn't forced upon you, but something that you have that option where, oh, I want to give 6 Days of Fallujah a try and not wait the 2 years that it might take them to port it over the console. Or I want to try Ready or Not and not have to wait the extra, year or 3 years, or them possibly never coming to console to try it out. So there is so much to be excited about as far as the future of Xbox. I mean, the handheld aspect, which somebody that owns as someone that owns a Steam Deck, I could see that blurring of the lines between PC and console being a beautiful thing, where for those, especially for those that are hesitant to jump into the PC space, those handheld devices, especially the Steam Deck, because of the operating system that it uses, although be it that if you wanted to make it like a full-fledged PC, you have access to all the back coding stuff to do so. But the big thing is the ease of use, where they have a list of games that are certified ready to work. It's not 100% perfect, but it is pretty good as far as they'll tell you, hey, maybe the text might be a little bit on the small side and things along those lines, but you can hook it to a monitor, or you can connect it to your TV via a USB hub or dock type of deal. But something like that coming from Xbox, where it blurs that line even better, and you have access to your current library from Xbox, and potentially whatever library that, because even though I'm partially a PC guy, I download stuff from Epic when it's free. I don't usually buy from there. I usually wait until it comes to Steam. Yes, I'm one of those. But if you have that collection of free games over at Epic, you'll be able to access those, without having to worry about building that, next level PC kind of thing. Or the fact that there are some games that, the Steam sale, there are times where, as good as we see the digital sales around the holidays on, the PS store or the, Xbox store. Steam is even sometimes even better, even on like newly launched titles. Like they'll have a 10% sale for the pre-order or buying the game, at launch day compared to the full price that you see on console. So, and a lot of the PC games are usually a little bit cheaper. So not saying that you should buy all your games there, but there are going to be certain games where it's like, you know what? Maybe it's better to buy Vampire Survivor over here. I played it on, on Game Pass. But if I'm going to buy it, well, maybe I'll buy it over here. It's a little bit cheaper. And, you can play it on your PC later or the Xbox handheld or your console that's hooked to the TV kind of thing. So there's so much to look forward to. And he brought up a lot of those points. But the lowlights definitely are like some of the things that we've talked about, like the messaging, some of the marketing, which has improved. I like the fact that they've improved on their showcases and their approach on that. That's probably been the biggest step. Now, whether it means hiring more outside talent to bring in house to do things like that, like Tina Amini is definitely a MVP that they brought over. And as much as we give IGN flack, it goes to show that maybe some of the people over there in the right role over at Xbox wouldn't be so bad. But it goes to show that things are changing. The landscape of the consumer that they have to appeal to, because whether you want to admit it or not, this newer generation playing games on their phone and being fine with that fidelity, not caring if something's 30 frames. Only us old heads are the ones that's like 60 frames or bust, or 4K or bust. The what's becoming the majority of the player base, albeit that they may not have the funds that we have to buy the games. But as far as that potential gamer base, that they're a different animal, and Xbox luckily is being able to adjust to accommodate that, hopefully without sacrificing us in the process. But as long as they keep on producing the games, as long as they keep on producing the consoles, the hardware that makes it for a great experience for those games, then everything will be right in the world. And like that's all I can say on it.
No, great stuff as always. Dreadpool, I want to bring you into the conversation, but obviously we mentioned marketing, we mentioned messaging based on some of the complaints that Jed's pointed out in his opinion piece. Shout out to Snake Eyes 327 in the chat. He says they should remake the original Gears of War 360 faceplate as an Xbox sleeve, like they did with Starfield. Yes, and yes to that. Hell freaking yeah. But that again, here we go. Messaging. Where I have a problem is Hellblade is a month and a few weeks out. How come we don't have a wrap for that? How come? I mean, you guys know that you gave us the release date. How come there is no wrap for that? When are they going to announce it? Potentially, they could announce it soon, right? I mean, I'm just spitting bullets here, but that's what I'm talking. This is some of the things that need to be improved, right? I know you didn't get a chance to read through the whole thing because, again, it was beefy. What are your thoughts on the opinion piece by Jez Corden of Windows Central there, Dreadpool? Everything's on fire? Not again, please. No, put out the fire, damn it.
Yeah. And that's the thing, right? We could all agree on certain things. We could all disagree on certain other things. Overall, I think he's got, from what I read, he's got some good points, and again, he's got some bad points. But those are his opinions. And I have seen some of the community on top of that, like trash the whole piece as if it's sections, and that's the problem I have. It's certain sections. Yes, the marketing isn't right on, like right there. The Gears of War wrap that would have been a good thing, and then just spoofed off of it, and hey, that's a wrap. They could have done something like that. It's a Gears wrap. Here you go. Microsoft, Xbox, there's your freebie, right? Okay. But there's certain things that we do need to again rectify with them. They need to understand, and we keep on hearing, we're listening, and they are. Sometimes it goes in one ear and out the other. Because again, certain higher ups might hear certain things and may dismiss, and the other higher ups that do have the choice don't get that information. So it's all about analytics on all of this stuff. It don't just think the analytics are on games if they're going to shift it over to PlayStation or Nintendo, or we all know that they're looking at everything, but not everybody's looking at every little detail. And that's kind of the thing is, again, be respectful with what we want. We finally got a good showcase. We get these Xbox Directs that are a lot better than they used to be. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to see, what was it? Chocolate pudding thrown at people's faces as they're driving in a, you know what I mean? Like that. None of
Hopefully
this.
it's chocolate pudding and not something else.
Boo! Just saying. But that's again, that's the thing, they've taken years to get that feedback straight, but nobody's perfect. And when you're talking about a machine, this company is a huge machine. It takes a lot for the wheels to turn. You can't just stop and make a U-turn, right? It's just like an aircraft carrier. It takes miles to make that U-turn, right? And it takes so many people. That's again, that's one of the things that you learn. You think that people are steering the ship like this, and the captain's like, oh, just turn so many degrees. Well, guess what? There's other people in the engine, right? They're down there. They can't see squat. They can't see nothing. And they're taking direct orders as to how much pressure they need to have to build for the turbines to turn, right? It took Phil Spencer, 10 years to get to where we are at now?
Yeah.
Right? Think about that. There's a lot of stuff going on. And sometimes, like Fuzzy said earlier, you are just focused in, right? You got the blinders on. You're focused in on this. You're not looking at anything else, but you're focused in this way. And that's the problem. And it's not really a problem at the same time. If the right people are looking around with their peripheral vision, and the main people that need to focus are focusing here, because at the same time, we've seen this with leadership. We can't get them to answer the same information, right? 2013, let's bring that back up again. TV, this and that. And everybody was going opposite directions. They weren't even on the same page. So it's like, were you guys part of the same meeting when you guys were talking about what the Xbox is going to do? Were you guys even part of anything? Or were you just ad-libbing anything you wanted because it was what you thought it should be? We don't know. But you see, they're not on the same page. They are now. And that's what we want. We want to see them do better. Harping on it, that's kind of the issue I have is I can't really say that you shouldn't harp on something. It's something that you believe in, right? So it's something that you want them to do better, but how do you it's like, it's when your wife nags you about taking out the trash, nags you about like certain chores. She like tells you she wants it done now, right? It's at her interval. Well, in the meantime, you're still in the middle of a match. You can't just stop. There's certain things.
Can't pause the game. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
We've all experienced that.
So, and that's, it's communication between a husband and a wife. Hey, can you take out the garbage? Knowing that I'm in the middle of something, she knows, and it'll go out. It just won't go out right then and now on her time frame. If I'm not doing something, it's going out right then and now on her time frame. But that's part of the back and forth of the relationship. That's what we need to have here too. A back and forth with a relationship with Xbox and their leaders, and the leaders having to have the same relationship between us also, by being transparent, but at the same time know what you're talking about. And part of that issue is when they have their transparency, they're talking to their stockholders as well as the gamers, and the information going to stockholders doesn't look so good to gamers, and the same thing, information going to gamers doesn't look so good to stockholders. But yet we want to see that meld, and you can't get that. There's certain things that stockholders need to hear that gamers don't want to hear, right? So when you have all that stuff, it makes it so hard to bring out your messaging. And that's the problem, is we're expecting all of everything, and we're not allowing certain things to just be, right? We want it our way. It's like, what is this, Burger King? Are you ordering a Big Mac at Burger King? Is that what you're doing? I mean, okay, whatever. Don't make it your way, but McDonald's ain't going to do that. So at the same time, it's kind of the thing of, I can't really say anything negative on how he feels, but at the same time, it's also a bad look, because anybody that doesn't know and isn't as informed as we are, or keeps track of all this stuff like we do, it's misleading and kind of misguiding, because yes, you feel this way, but they haven't felt that way, and now you're leading them into these thoughts and these feelings, right? And now you're also leading other people that don't believe in what you're feeling into the negative thoughts. So it's I can't say that he's doing it wrong or he's doing it right. And that's the other thing, is nobody else can say that either. You have your feelings, I have my feelings, and it is what it is. That's why it's an opinion based.
It's a fair sentiment for sure. Again, he wrote an opinion piece that some people like myself agree with some of the points. Again, I don't have a lot of things to disagree with it. With it. The big ones that jump off the page is the whole closed world garden console that doesn't exist anymore. If you want that, there's Nintendo, and even Sony's going to be making big changes in the coming years. That closed world garden is going away. How much so?
Yeah.
We'll
why
see.
is it okay for one but not the other?
Well, again, that's
right?
what. Yeah,
again, that's part of the
industry double standard.
Right, industry gamers double standard. I saw it in the chat. Right, I can't play 30 frames a second on my Xbox game, but you do it, and I'm going to change it up, right? But you do it when it's Nintendo.
Yep.
They said you do it when it's PlayStation. It's perfectly fine. So again, it's. I think part of it is the games that you're playing, depends on certain aspects of what's going on. So there is no one thing surrounds all. There is none of that. And that's the problem, is a lot of people, it's either this way or the highway. I will not play any game that has a female lead character. Why? It's a good game. Who cares? You're just playing a character. You're not being female. You're not another person, right? When I play games, I play them. If I can create a character, I create a character like myself. But guess what?
Me too.
I've also created characters that are female, not because I'm trying to sexualize them, because I want to show my daughter that it doesn't matter if I pick one or the other. I want her to understand it's okay if you're doing this, right? But now you're going to go in your feels that you have an issue with this direction or this, frame rate. It's not all or nothing. And that's the problem, is a lot of people are not understanding that. Let devs make the games the best that they can make it, and accept it for what it is. If it's not your game, it's not for you. If it's not your style, it's, again, not for you. If it's not something that you're interested in, why waste the time?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I read as much as I could of Jez Gordon's article, and I got to a point where I was like, okay, it's just too long. I've lost interest. It was good for a bit, and it's kind of like moved me in different ways, and I'm just tired of it. So I moved on. But I'm
nothing wrong with that. I mean, again,
you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to sit there and be like, Jez is wrong because of this, and just harp on everything. I'm not going to sit there and just create a negative space in every way. All right, I didn't like certain points. You didn't like certain points. Fuzzy didn't like certain points. You know what I mean? We all didn't like certain things. It didn't have to be the same thing, but at the same time, it is what it is. And, the discussion basically is, how everybody else is tearing it apart.
It's the internet. Obviously, when you put yourself out there, people are going to find a way to tear you down. Don't let them. Again, I thought it was a great piece, but
and Chris, it's a learning piece.
Yes. Yeah. No. Sure. I absolutely agree. I think it is a learning piece. But again, he made a lot of really great points. Some stuff that were really finite. That I think that Xbox should look at and make some changes. Um, Crispy, let's get your final take, and then we'll get everyone out of here. How much of the article did you read? What are your thoughts on Jez Corden's opinion piece on the current state of Xbox?
Read 75% of it. Really, I don't know. It's one of those things like, let's throw shade at a certain thing and then, praise another. I mean, Jez, if you're listening, I don't know where you're getting at. I don't know. I guess I'm the young head. Fact is that, games have went to PlayStation now and nobody's talking about them. Is that good or bad for Xbox? I don't know. Did it give them revenue even though people aren't talking about it? I don't know.
Well, Pentament's so terrible, and Hi-Fi Rush did barely better. So it's if you're gauging it based on those two titles going, then it's a failed experiment. We have to see what happens with Grounded and Sea of Thieves, and even then, I don't think they're going to move needles. That's just my take. I don't think PlayStation gamers are interested in Xbox games, but we'll see.
But we have always called it. We've always called it the casual box.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. Yes, it is.
In the past 10 years, I would say. Before that, it was the 360. You know what I mean? Like, we're not. You have to realize that there comes a point in time as a gamer that you have certain aspects, and for a lot of people, it's Madden, it's Fortnite, it's a lot of games that are multi-plat. And you can play cross-play with a lot of those games. The one thing I'll say is that, and this is the problem I have with it, and Jez, you can agree or disagree, but the fact is that I look at the gaming landscape, and I don't feel like even Hellblade 2, even though it looks graphically incredible, that it's going to change anything that has already happened.
Yeah, the
if someone is a
there,
console gamer and not a PC gamer, and this is just what I see, they are going to love what they have and hate what they don't have.
Yep.
And those are things that we as a society have to change. And the one thing I will say is that Microsoft has said many, many years ago, we support crossplay. We support PC. We are going to release our games on PC. We don't care. The one caveat is that they have Game Pass. They have Game Pass. Sony has, whatever you want to call it at this point. We still call Xbox Game Pass, and that's it. Okay? There's going to be a point in time where people are going to say, I can't buy that game because I can't afford it. But we don't have that problem when it comes to Xbox exclusives. That is up to you as a human being. You don't want to engage in it. You want to have your rig or buy a Series X or S, which the S is pretty darn cheap. That's up to you. But to say that they need to change what they're doing, which he did say, I disagree completely. I think it's time for a new narrative. It's the gamer narrative. Be a gamer. If PlayStation isn't providing you with anything, don't play it. Buy a new console, trade it in. There's still those options. As they lean towards not being options, by the way, because as GameStops and Best Buys and everything else just go to a digital age. What are we supposed to do about that? We can't stop them. You can yell at the top of your roof and ain't gonna do nothing. So let's be honest here. One gaming company that has a console that still exists is out and says, we don't care. We'll release it on mobile. We'll release it wherever. PlayStation now. Switch. We don't care, even though, I mean, Switch, you know, I mean, Ori, there's examples. You have to look at it and say, there's one company that says, enough's enough. We are going to win this console battle, but we could win the mind share battle. In saying, you know what? We don't care that much. And who's the one that's talking more than any other console? It ain't Nintendo, it ain't PlayStation. It's Xbox.
Yep.
Okay. And that comes from the executives. You know, that one thing I saw and a lot of people ignored is after all the hippity hoopla and all the anger and back and forth, they still did an Xbox only, you know, podcast and said, you know what? This is what we're doing. You don't like it? Deal with it. If you really don't like it, go buy a PlayStation. Pay more for games. We're here for it. See, playing chess when there's checkers involved is two different things. And the thing is I've watched Microsoft play chess when checkers was the only thing. And now chess has become more relevant. Oh, isn't Sony bringing games to PC? Man, didn't Xbox do that years ago? Oh,
they sure did.
Jeez. I mean, come on, people. Let's be honest here, okay? Like, I love Jess. I think he's a great person. But sometimes I'm like, dude, like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, we're in a different realm now. Like Fortnite is the biggest game. Minecraft up there. They're all multi-plat. People play what they want to play. Okay? And as Sony either locks their doors or opens the door up, then it's up to them. They're the company. They have the highest player base on console. That is up to them. That does not mean that Xbox needs to go and say, we have to do the same thing. I think that would hurt them more than help them. Sorry.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, his opinion piece, I definitely would suggest giving it a read. If you are going to respond to Jess, please don't be an a-hole about it. You know, again, he has very great points. It's well-researched. I don't agree with all of them, but I think he understands that not everyone is going to agree with all his points. Look, at the end of the day, folks, today was awesome outside of the earthquake situation, which I literally just got. I don't know about anyone else. An alert on my phone saying that, yes, there was a confirmed earthquake. Expect aftershocks, which I have not had one as of yet, which is good. Let me get these last kind of super chats and we'll get everyone out of here. Thanaros has been a channel member for, 54 months. Bro, that is crazy generous of you. Thank you for supporting the channel. He says, thank God it's Friday. Indeed, sir, indeed. ADM drops an additional very generous £2 super chat and says, love from love. I don't know what else to text. Love, and love. Listen, you know what? Absolutely, there's not enough love on social media and in this world. Put it out there, sir. Appreciate the generosity and, of course, the positivity. Gamer by Choice drops a very generous additional $2 super chat and says, if fans don't know what we want, should Xbox listen? I mean, it's a good point. I mean, if we don't know what we want, then maybe they have no idea what the hell we want. That's a great point. Ultraman drops a very generous $5 super chat. This is a great story. My mom took me to Kmart to buy an Atari 2600. One button, one stick, all fun. 30 frames is fine to me. It's way overblown. Indeed, I absolutely agree. We also have And JJ saying 117. He says, is Jez becoming a Sony fan? Does Jez even have a PlayStation 5? I think he might have bought one. I don't remember. I don't think he does, to be honest with you. So I don't know if he's becoming a PlayStation fan. I doubt it. I mean, come on. He's Jez Corden from Windows Central. He talks about Xbox all the time. Again, not everyone's going to agree with his piece. I get it. I totally understand why people may have some different opinions. But if you're gonna talk to him, at least do it in a proper manner. So it's blocking a bunch of people, and this social media is just such shitty. You know what I'm saying? Let's be better people. Let's just be better. Let's get everyone out of here. Fuzzy Belvedere, let's sell your brand, kind sir. Tell everyone where they can find the best place for anything and everything in the racing genre on your YouTube channel. More importantly, what else you got going on? What other shows you on? And where can people follow you on social media?
Oh, as always, thank you for having me on. Always awesome being on here with you, Boom, as well as Dreadpool and Crispy Bomb. Always appreciate starting off this Friday morning with a little bit more pep in my step and everything. Getting into the gaming news just before going into the weekend. Thanks to everybody in the chat for checking us out. Greatly appreciate you guys taking the time to interact with us in the chat. If you haven't already, please hit the like and subscribe button. Greatly appreciate it. And then for those who want to hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming related, you can find me on the app formerly known as Twitter at Fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also find me on Xbox Ultimate later on tonight on Fun Speculations channel at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the Shop Podcast with PTK Blam, Pong Soul. And I believe we're going to have Game Pass Dad as well as Fun Speculation on as special guests. And then for Sunday at 8, look forward to seeing you guys. Hopefully check out the new podcast between me and 3-Bit called Pixelated Echoes. Once again, just do a search on YouTube for Pixelated Echoes, 8:30 on Sunday evening. And then for everybody, hope to see you guys right back here Monday afternoon for Xbox Lunch Break Special, 12 noon. Look forward to seeing you there. Thanks again.
Nice. Thank you so much. Appreciate you being here as always. Dreadpool, let's sell the brand of Breaking Bread with Dread. Where can people subscribe to your YouTube channel, follow you on the socials, and more importantly, reach out and potentially strike up a conversation? Bring you up here. Okay, here you go. There you go. You could read verbatim, kind sir.
There we go. All right. So thank you, everyone. Really loved everybody's opinions in the chat. You guys, for the most part, were really good. So keep up that great work within the community. Let's be welcoming, not condescending to each other, and actually having good conversations. So you can find linktree.com at Dreadpool, youtube.com and Dreadpool. Twitter's the O's are actually zeros. TikTok and Hover. Every Sunday at 7 a.m. Good Morning Xbox. 7 p.m. Gaming Beyond the Box. And then Fridays here at 10 a.m. So it's always a pleasure hanging out with Boom and Crispy and Fuzzy. And like I said, everybody in the chat, you guys are awesome. Before I forget, let's where'd it go? I lost it. Don't mind me. Nothing to see here. Whatever. Anyway, but thanks you guys. It's one of these ones.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is.
I'm lost. Don't.
Hello, Dread. We're over here.
Here we go. All right. So I dropped the link in the chat. Check out the new Dreadpool gear shirt. It's
very nice. Death
my
Dealer,
wife's,
indeed.
Yes, my wife's shirt. So she's all proud of it.
As she should.
So again, thank you all. Really appreciate your guys' support, especially with YouTube doing whatever they're doing. But it seems to be sort of over. So really appreciate you guys. Definitely everybody. I was trying to find Fuzzy's link so I can put it on there for his YouTube channel so you guys can subscribe there. Fuzzy, if you can find it, slap it in the chat, man.
Yeah, drop it in there, brother. Absolutely.
But again, yeah, thank you all. It's been a pleasure. And you guys just have fun.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
Don't relish in the negativity. Be a gamer. Enjoy talking, gaming, all that fun stuff. The right way.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you being here each and every week, brother. And make sure you eat something, because obviously you didn't have the breakfast.
Oh, I'm
Coffee is just not enough
Dying.
for breakfast. Yeah, I mean, so please go eat something. Crispy Bomb, let's get you on out of here, kind sir. Where can people follow you on social media, and what else you got going on, kind sir?
Shout out to the chat. Gentlemen, love y'all. At Chris Baum on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. Chris Baum 28, Xbox Live. You find me on Breakfast with Boom, usually, not next week. I have to work like a human being. Sorry, people. And just, understand that you don't have to hate anybody to love what they say. And it requires gravitas and understanding. There's not always about you. Sometimes opinions do matter. And I'll leave it at that.
Indeed, brother. Well, listen, thank you so much. We had a ton of people here. We had an earthquake live on the air. Hopefully everyone is okay. Don't get a lot of earthquakes here in New York. Pretty crazy stuff. But thank you again for all of the ridiculous amount of super chats that came the way. Let me make sure that I'm up to date and I won't forget anybody. Yep, we're all good. Thank you so much for the generosity. Obviously, that does help the channel grow in many ways, with the way we produce the show, with camera, with lighting, with graphics, with artwork. All of that costs money, and of course, we're able to then turn a lot of the generosity around into big giveaways. We did one for Easter. Our next big one, we'll see. We'll probably do something in the summer, because the next really, really big one, we're giving away 15 copies of Stalker 2. That is going to come the way of us, supporting the devs, actually not just saying it, doing it. And we're going to buy 15 copies at full price and give them away live on the air, half of which are going to go to channel members. The other half are going to be anybody that's in the chat. The Xbox coins, which I have a bag here that I'm working currently with. As you can see, I have a ton of them, and I have more on the way. There is going to be a Pal World coin that they're sending me. There's also coins for Hellblade 2 that are one of a kind. I'm going to do some shorts showing off all of the current available coins. Now, again, normally I don't like to do this, but it's only fair. If you want a shot at winning one of these very rare, very limited produced Xbox coins, you're going to have to be subbed to the channel. I don't like doing that. For the giveaways, we normally don't care. We say, hey, listen, if you're in the chat and the picker picks you and you win, great. But we are going to start moving towards, and again, I don't like to do this, but I think it's only fair. If I'm going to send $100 to you, the least you can do is be subscribed. If you know what I'm saying, I don't think that's really asking a lot to be subbed to the channel. This is not a hate, mongering type of channel. We have fun here. I'm an Xbox guy first, sure, but I support all the consoles. So moving forward, what we're going to do is winners are going to be chosen, yes, and we're going to see if you're subbed. And if you're not subbed, then we're going to pick somebody else, because again, we've been doing this for a long time, and I think it's only fair that at least you could be subscribed. No one says you have to be a channel member or drop a super chat, but you should be at least subscribed to the channel if you're going to get a shot at winning any of this stuff. And again, not sound like a repeating robot, but it's if we're going to do right by you as a person, the least you can do is be subbed to the channel. With that said, we are going to close out today's show. Hopefully you enjoyed it enough to hit the like button. If you're finding the channel for the first time, please consider subscribing. And more importantly, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me. Hopefully one day, folks, will be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Breakfast with Boom.